Graduation ceremonies at Burnburton Academy will have special meaning for one group of students. Members of the school's Student Success Program, which started about 6 years ago, will be receiving their diplomas along with their classmates. For many of them, that might have also signaled the end of their formal educational experience. But instead, many of these students are going on to something beyond high school, whether it's a four-year college, a community college, military service, or a professional trade school. Often they are the first members of their families to attend college or continue their education past high school. Jason Pergament is the director of the Student Success Program.
The first thing we did was we created the Summer Success Camp. And so I run a camp, bridge camp for incoming freshmen. It's a 3-week camp. And we work on orienting the kids to the campus. We work on building a mindset towards education. We work on some future planning. And mostly we just build community. We want the kids to connect with each other. So that when the school year starts, they have connections to each other and also to their teachers to have a strong foundation for their freshman year. But as it's grown, we've gotten more and more kids every year. So last year we had 55 kids attending the camp. This year I'm looking at about 60 kids attending the camp. Now, not every kid who comes to camp will end up being fully involved in the success program. A lot of kids will be involved at differing levels, all depending on what fits their particular needs. But I would say I've got about 40 to 50 kids in every group that are heavily invested in Success Program. It's interesting, because as we move into the 21st century, I really think the model and approach towards college is really changing. When I was in high school, I grew up on Long Island and I had a nice upper middle class existence. Everyone was going to college. It wasn't a matter of are you going to college? It was which college are you going to go to? And I was fortunate enough to attend some really good schools and get a really good education. Nowadays, though, there's a different set of skills that are required for success in life, and unfortunately, a lot of students were going to college and then graduating and not being able to find jobs. And so we really have to start to really examine who we sent to college, and what college looks like. There are trade programs, there are tech schools, there are 4-year universities. And so for me, success, it's hard to say it's sending kids to college. I don't think it's that simple. I think it's building a mindset of perseverance. It's helping students have the skills necessary to be successful in the 21st century workforce. It's helping them have a future orientation and understanding the necessary steps to work towards that orientation. It's having the habits of mind and the habits of success that are integrated into everything that they do. And so it really is building connections between the students and their education.
The program grew out of a study BBA teacher Kendra Larson did while on a sabbatical leave several years ago. She studied how the role of poverty affects the learning potential of students from low-income backgrounds.
First of all, I was looking at data, and so I looked at data, not just test scores, which is what a lot of schools do, not just GPAs, but I wanted to look at the full human being. So what were they doing after school? Did they feel like they had connections with faculty or staff members at BBA, and as well as their test scores and GPAs? We found that every student that I interviewed that was on free and reduced lunch did feel like they had a connection with a staff or faculty member at BBA, so we felt like we were doing pretty well there. There wasn't a huge achievement gap. We were doing well in terms of clubs and after-school activities, sports, music, arts. We had a lot of participation. However, we did have an achievement gap when it came to the actual test scores and GPAs. The achievement gap was both based on poverty and also based on gender, with boys not doing as well as girls. I can say that I found that relationships was extremely important. So if a student has a strong relationship with an adult who's a good role model for them, that's part of the equation if we were going to come up with a formula. That also is important because they might want to get out of poverty. They might have the ability to get out of poverty in terms of their grades, but they might not actually know how to go to college. And there's a lot of hoops that a lot of middle class or upper class people take for granted. They understand that you have to fill out these forms in order to get financial aid. And that's just not a concept a lot of students whose parents didn't go to college understand. So having that relationship with someone who can walk you through the steps of applying for college or getting an internship in an area that you're really interested in. So that relationship building is huge.
The Success Program grew out of that research by Kendra Larson, and the program has grown from 26 students who attended an initial summer camp to classes for students at all grade levels to help them focus on navigating their way through school and beyond. Dylan Capusta of Manchester was one student who went through it while attending BBA and is now attending college in Boston.
My mom was looking at some programs, and the Success Program was new to the school and stuff like that, so she signed me. She asked me what I thought about it, and I said, okay, this could be something good for me. So we decided to sign up. Didn't really know much about it going in. Obviously it was a new program, and we didn't know much about it, but decided to give it a shot anyways. It sounded like it had good intentions, and that's basically how I got introduced to it. Is just gave it a shot. Said why not? Well, during the summer before our freshman year, we basically just kind of worked on some homework going into freshman year. Mr. Pergman took us to different colleges around Vermont and stuff like that, just to give us an idea of what these next 4 years would be like, and what the main goal would be going forward. And we talked a lot about three things that were most important to us, which is goals, habits, and growth. So we started the first couple years of the program. We focused on goals, habits, and growth, in the school and in our general lives, and how we can apply that to become more successful. And then going forward, we talked about how we could apply that to college in our future lives and stuff like that. So my sophomore year of high school here, I started an internship at my old elementary school. And I continued that for the next 3 years. And every year that I went back, more and more teachers reached out to me and said, you've grown so much, you've changed so much since you were a child, and it's great to see how far you've come. And I often ask myself, if they ever envisioned me going to college. And my whole life, people would always tell me you have potential to be there, but you're just not there yet. And I wonder if the Success Program itself, I do believe the Success Program itself had an impact on changing my life around and kind of figuring out what I want to do with my life and pursuing goals and stuff like that.
Each year, Jason Pergament goes out to the schools which traditionally send students on to Burn-Burton and talks with teachers and students to see if there are some who would benefit from being in the program. The Success Program gets some of its support from philanthropic sources, such as the Stratton Foundation, which helps fund a scholarship program for students who are the first in their families to attend college. At one session recently at Burn-Burton, Tammy Mosier, the executive director of the Stratton Foundation, told the students that their progress was closely followed.
Tell you that we communicate frequently, we read your blogs, they share your blogs with everybody in their family. I think there's something like 18 people now in this family that all get together to talk about the funding that they're going to do across the country. And they have chosen this as one of their most favorite, meaningful, because they feel so intimately connected with all of you. They read your thank you letters, they read the blogs, we share about your applications, they ask about what you're doing. Jazzy, we've been talking about you. We've been talking about you because you were the first 2 applications that came in, and it really made them excited to keep wanting to do this. So congratulations and thank you, and I would love to get a group picture of it.
Poverty and its relationship to academic success is a complicated subject, one that we plan to take a closer look at in the near future. There is no automatic one-on-one correlation between poverty and lack of academic success, but it clearly is an influential factor for some. For now, and for the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.